Pues ya hice más o menos lo que platicábamos la clase pasada,
Okay.
porque estuve buscando así como artículos y cosas así, ya vi que le comenté en uno de los correos, y la verdad sí, pues encontré de todo, pero lo que más es lo que me comentaba, como la interacción que tenían entre ellos, ¿no?
Okay.
Que se enfocaba un poco más en eso.
Okay. When you get a chance, Ximena, could you add this information here in your handout to this page in Canvas? So where I'm at here is modules.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to student thesis list,
Mm-hmm.
and scroll down here, what I'm asking everyone to do is type in, as they've done here, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and include that information from your handout here and on this page. So if you click edit right here, edit this page, you can go in and add this information.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so have you been able to find primary research
yes,
articles?
I have some of them.
Do you have any questions about those articles?
No, actually those are kind of interesting. But my question was regarding, well, I don't really know if this part is correct.
Step 4? Okay, so let's review again. You have here, is this current? Is this still what you want to focus on? I wish to learn more about dynamic assessment because I want to find out how students interact among them when it is presented in order to make a change in the way how students evaluate. So, you wish to examine. Alright, so you want to find out how students interact. So what do you plan to examine to help you with this question that you want to
What do I plan to examine? For example, what we were talking about the interaction, for example, when the teacher gives them an activity or an assessment, but how they interact among them, we can say. How estamos hablando como en applied linguistics.
Okay.
When they switch and those things.
Okay, so you could say I wish to examine the language between teachers and students, or the dialogue or the conversations between the student and teacher.
If they have more, for example, if they have more conversation or more interaction with a dynamic assessment than with you.
Right, what you're looking for is language that, based on the research, indicate assessment, right? So now in your theory, let's see. Okay, one more thing here. Step 3, the unit of analysis. Are you looking at individual groups? Are you focusing on one group in particular? Do you know yet what the unit of analysis might be?
I think it is going to be just in one group.
Just one group.
Specifically one.
Okay, so alright, so I think based on this information so far, I think we can think of it as being a case study, focusing on one group or one teacher. And yeah, it'll be a qualitative research. So I think what you have here is fine.
Yeah? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Now, as far as organizing your theory, the next step we need to focus on after you've uploaded this information to Canvas is to go into Google Drive, and I would go ahead and add your header here. You can do that by clicking Insert, Page Break, or Control Enter. I'm sorry, header, sorry. Insert, header, okay, and this will give you an option to add information to the header.
And that is like the title?
You can put the running head, and you can put the page number here on the top, or as in the template, you can leave the page number here at the bottom. In fact, you've already, it looks like you've done this already. I would just center it here, just click center and get it over. So yeah, just running head here, and
Running head.
yeah, and then you would have a colon, and then you would have maybe the first 5 words or so of your title. So you would have dynamic assessment as a technique. Hasta ahí puede ser.
Okay.
Pero todo en mayúscula aquí.
Todo en
Es el
mayúscula
único
hacia arriba.
texto que viene en mayúscula.
Y
Que
ahí
todo.
arriba, ¿verdad?
Arriba. Para que parecen todas las páginas.
Okay.
¿Sí? Ok,
En
now.
mayúsculas no me gritas ni nada, ¿verdad?
No voy a gritar nada. De hecho, voy a felicitarte para. Pero es lo único, nada más eso. Okay. Here in this part, we have title of the work. Okay, so here you can add your literature review. What I'm recommending everyone to do is first begin with your research questions here at the end. Where do your research questions come from? Well, they come from your applied research problem from your handout from this part where it says question. Because I want to find out, and then whatever you have here, your research questions need to come directly from this part right here. Okay, and maybe you'll have between 2 to 4 research questions. Now those research questions, I would go ahead and start putting those here at the beginning, and then also add a thesis statement here at the top where it would go after the introduction. You don't have to do the entire, in fact, I would wait on the introduction, but I think it's helpful to have that one sentence, that thesis statement, so you kind of see as a reminder about what the main idea of your thesis
is. Is it the
your
same
literature.
format than in the previous research?
Yes.
Like to start with no
A hook.
quotations.
Right, a
maybe
hook, background, yeah. But here, we'll talk later more specifically. There are a few other things in the introduction that we'll include, but it's basically the same idea. The thesis statement comes at the very end of your introduction paragraph. Right, now from here, you're going to add your topics, your sections, and this is now what we need to start doing now. We've got today's February 12th, and we have until February 28th, so we have just over 2 weeks now. So I'd like for you each week to upload whatever you can in your Google Drive document. And what I would do is add first these headings. Right, now I have 3 headings here, but maybe you have 2 headings, maybe you have 4 headings.
Are,
the main sections, the main ideas, the main sections
it's
of.
like the hook or the thesis statement of each.
Well, okay, think of the thesis statement as one idea for your entire essay. Now you need to divide up that one idea into 2 to 4 subsections, smaller ideas. And then from each of these smaller ideas, you're going to have paragraphs of even smaller ideas about that one sub idea. Okay? So the idea here is that you're organizing this information based on this link here under modules, step 2, where it says developing an argument. Hopefully you have a chance to read through this, because this is how you can organize your literature review around claims and ideas, right? And I give 3 suggestions on how to, different types or different ways that you can organize your ideas, okay, that I think you'll find useful whenever you're developing this literature review here. Okay, so this is very much related. There's a lot of information here, but it's all worth going through and thinking about, in your case, the topics that you want to include, how you're going to organize this.
Well, that's a question. Would it be good to include, would it be fun to include the different type of dynamic assessment? Like, for example, oral, writing assessment, and those things?
Yeah. Try your best to include topics that you plan to research.
Okay.
So you don't want to talk about a lot, every type of form of dynamic assessment. You really want to keep it limited to what you're going to evaluate. So for example, if you're going to focus on dynamic assessment through spoken dialogue, then you probably aren't going to talk much about dynamic assessment for writing assignments. Even though that's another form. Maybe there's a lot of literature on that. But if you know you don't have any interest, you don't want to focus on that, then there's no sense of including that. Focus more deeply on spoken dynamic assessment. So the idea is you want to talk about less but more deeply about those fewer topics. Okay? So try to add your research questions here, add your thesis statement, then begin developing this. And then when I go in here, this is the first thing I look at is your research questions and your thesis statement to get an idea about the direction, like the ideas that you have here, and then look at what you have here to see how you're organizing your ideas. And you can always...
Is it like a brainstorming?
Kind of, but we're just using the same document. We're not going to have a separate section. So this would almost serve like as an outline in a way. And this kind of, as you mentioned, yeah, you don't have to brainstorm. You don't have to list out keywords at this point. If you want to include keywords here, you can add that at any time. But at some point, we'll have to add keywords. But this will at least give me an idea with the research questions and thesis statement. I'll have an idea about what you want to achieve, and then I'll be looking here to see how this relates to the thesis statement and the research questions. Because that's the big deal, is making sure that this theory relates to your research questions and your thesis statement, because your research questions are what you're going to do later too, right? So everything has to be kind of aligned. And so I think this would be an easy way for you and me to work together to make sure that this information stays on topic, that you don't start talking about things that really don't relate.
So for example, some questions or some examples could be like how students interact during a dynamic assessment.
Yeah, and you can get ideas from your 3 primary research articles.
Yeah,
Find those. In fact, I was talking to Luis earlier. He found an article. He looked at there was a research question. In fact, in the abstract, it said the purpose of this study is to do this, and directly from there, he was able to get his research questions. So don't try to like guess about your research questions. Really try to focus on those 2 or 3 primary research articles, and say, okay, I want to focus on this. And you might even find research questions that are almost identical to what you want to do. Or maybe you modify them a little bit. But try to use those other articles and grab concepts and research questions from those.
I didn't know that I could do that, because then it could be like plagiarism.
No. Plagiarism is when you use someone else's ideas without giving attribution, without crediting them, without saying this is not my idea. Now, anytime that you, for example, let's say you find a research, a questionnaire, and in the method section you say, this questionnaire is an adaptation from Ellis 2012. You include a citation. There you go. It can be the exact same questionnaire, but just credited then. Okay. The research questions in the paragraph, you may say the following research questions were derived from this Ellis study where they investigated this. Then you're fine. You included a citation. Yeah, see? But in my opinion, it's better to do that, to base your research off what others have done, to continue learning more about whatever it is that you're researching, because your context is going to be different than anyone else's. So regardless if you use the same questionnaire, regardless if you use the same research questions, your results are going to be unique. Or even if they're not, even if they're the same results, we know more now because your context is different.
You're supporting that.
Right. Whatever you did is aligned with what other people have done, fine. Or what you did was completely different, fine.
And you can contrast.
And then you can contrast. You can compare and contrast is what you're doing essentially. So the only thing you have to be careful about is making sure that you include the citations.
Okay.
That's all you have to do. So try not, and it's easier that way also, right? So because you're not starting from zero, you're basing, you have a starting point already. They've already done this, and you're going to continue that. It doesn't make sense to start from zero, from nothing. Start with what other people have done and base your research on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So first step to create the questions, right?
The very first thing, going back, all right, for this week, okay, let me recap here. So we go back to modules. Oops. Go back to modules. And we go to student thesis list. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is to update the information from your handout to Canvas here. Here. All right, just as your classmates have done step 1 through 4. So update that. Then go to your document here, and from this, and I'll use someone else's example, but where it says because I want to find out, all right, what you have there in this section, you want to write up your research questions and add your research questions here at the very end. Also, up here, I would add your thesis statement in just one sentence. And you can leave this note here to yourself, saying, "Okay, later I'll add to the introduction." Then I would add your 2 to 4 main topics, those main subtopics, those sub-ideas that relate to your literature review. When you start doing this, make sure that you take another look at modules week 2, developing an argument, looking again at this information to get ideas about how you want to organize your ideas. Then fill in these headings and then start inserting text accordingly. Always reviewing again the research questions and the thesis, asking yourself, am I staying on topic? Am I talking just about this limited topic, right? To make sure that you're not throwing in information that's not relevant.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And so try to update this as much as you can for next our next tutoring session. I'll look at what you have, give you feedback about organization and anything else that you've uploaded. And if at any point you have questions during the week, just email me in Canvas and I'll take a look at it.
What about the other sections, like at the very beginning we have some other things that we didn't do in the other research, like abstract
Okay.
and those things?
Later.
Later, okay.
Yeah. This is our only concern right here.
Okay.
Our literature review. This is our literature review. So we'll have the title. If you have a title, you can add it now or you can add it later. But this right here is the main thing. Research questions, thesis statement, and then the organization of your ideas based on your literature review.
Yeah.
Later, we'll continue on with method and we'll work accordingly. Method, and then we'll do data collection and so on. So this section, we need approximately 2,250 words, more or less. 2,200, because this whole section here is 2,500 words. So if we get out a calculator, all right, so we have 2,500 words. If we subtract approximately 250 words for the introduction, right, because that's what the introduction is here, that leaves us 2,250 words. So that is an approximate word count for this section here, including your research questions. Okay. Remember, as we did in applied linguistics, that last paragraph is going to be very similar to what we did. So we're going to have research questions. These research questions you have here, you're going to develop a paragraph that introduces your research questions, very much like we did last semester. But don't worry about that paragraph now. Just research questions only, thesis statement, and then you develop this first, because this is the hard part. Later we'll, at the end, before the due date on the 28th, you can finish this one paragraph. That's not a big deal. But this is kind of what I want to make sure we're on the right track, and I want to see how you're organizing your ideas so I can try to give you feedback now so you don't have to make hopefully a lot of changes at the end. So it'll hopefully make the writing process
how many
a little
words
easier.
are in total in the whole
paper? Between 5,000 to 6,000. So this is half your paper, right? This is half your paper. The method section is 500 words, and the results section is around 2,000 words, more or less.
Okay.
Alrighty. So any other questions? No. Alrighty. So we'll continue on this, and just let me know if you have doubts.
In that page, is it necessary to edit something else? I mean, related.
No. The only thing I made a note here today, at this, later, if you want to put your name here, put the university name, Universidad Autónoma de Aguascalientes. If you want to put my name, that's optional. But I would, thesis is okay, and then the date. But you can put the date at the end of the semester. But that's not critical.
That is capital letter. And at the top right.
Yeah, like for example, your title, the main words are capitalized. Your name is capitalized. University name is capitalized. Thesis, yeah, is capitalized. The date of the assignment, so you'll have, maybe June of 2014.
Okay.
So June would be capitalized. And then in the running head, everything's in uppercase.
Okay.
And so you would have running head, colon, dynamic assessment as a technique, probably hasta ahí. And that's it. Yeah. And then I would center your page just to the, and then you could also type in the word page space and center it up here using this button.
Page
Center.
1, page 2.
Yeah. That way, like here, you just have, it'll be automatic. It'll have page 2, page 3, page 4. Let's see.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ximena. Have a good week, and we'll see you.
Also.
Right? Okay. All right. You're welcome. Bye.